Hey, it's Mr. Mitchell here for Pre-Calc with long and synthetic division. That's what we're going to take a look at today. We have some definitions up here that you can take a look at. We're going to get started on long division. So here's our first question. We got to divide x minus 2 into 6x cubed minus 19x squared plus 16x minus 4. So how many times, it's just going back to long division from elementary school, how many times does x go into 6x cubed? Goes into there, and you can write it out if you need to. 6x cubed divided by x. What's that going to divide out to? It's going to be 6x squared. And then you take this and you multiply here. So that's 6x cubed minus 12x squared, and now you need to change the signs. Subtract, add. Cubes go away, you get negative 7x squared. Bring down your next number. Then you're going to take negative 7x squared and divide by x. That's going to give you negative 7x. And you multiply. It's going to give you negative 7x squared plus 14x. Sorry about that. And then we got to change our sign. So this becomes addition, and then this does become subtraction. Then you get 2x. Now, how many? Oh, don't forget to bring down your next number. How many times does x go into 2x? Goes in there twice. 2 times all that is 2x plus 4. Sorry, 2x minus 4. But then you are going to change the sign so it does become addition. So I have no remainder. So there's your answer. Okay. Now we're going to try letter B. So we're going to take x minus 1 divided into x cubed plus 0x squared. I like to put in my space holders. Plus 0x minus 1. Now, you don't have to do your space holders, but it is something good. If you're having trouble, go back to long division. Do 71 dividing into, let's just say, some very large number. And try to do that, because that's really what we're doing. We're taking long division with numbers and we're turning it into polynomials. So how many times does x go into x cubed? Goes in there x squared times. So x squared times that is x squared. I'm sorry, x cubed, not x squared. X cubed minus x squared. Change your signs. Add the columns and you get x squared. Bring down your next number. Yeah, you bring it down to 0x. It doesn't really matter, but I like to have my spaces held. So x goes into x squared. X times. X times that is x squared minus x. Change your signs. Cancels. X. Bring down your negative 1. How many times does x go into x? 1. 1 times that is x minus 1. Change your signs. And we get no remainder again. That means something, and we'll look at that. We'll look at that here in a little bit. Okay. Next one. I'm going to pause and go ahead and let you try it yourself. Okay, so hopefully you've had a chance to work on this problem. So how many times does x squared go into 2x to the 4th? Goes into there 2x squared times. Multiply, you get 2x to the 4th plus 4x cubed minus 6x squared. Change all your signs. Cancels. Cancels? That doesn't always happen. This is what, x squared? Bring down your next number. Also bring down the other number, because you need 3 numbers to divide into. You need 3 numbers to divide into. How many times does x squared go into x squared? Goes in there one time. And then 1 times this. That. Change your signs. Change it. Change it. Change it. X squareds cancel. You get x plus 1. This x squared does not go into that. So your final answer is going to be this plus a remainder. Now, in elementary school, you may have just written r with this, but we don't do that. We write it over what we are dividing by. So this is your remainder, if you want to think of it this way. Okay? So that's long division. Now we're going to get into synthetic. So synthetic can take longer to set up, but it can go much quicker. So you need to see what you're dividing by, and it needs to be either a linear factor or it needs to be multiple linear factors. You can't divide this. So for this one, we couldn't do letter C with synthetic. We'd have to use long division. So we're going to make a box, and we're going to put -3 in the box. Why -3? You have to solve this. What does that equal? If you set it equal to 0, it equals -3. And then we need our coefficients. So we have an x to the 4, so we put a 1. Right, there's a 1 there. There are no x cubes, so you have to put a 0. You need your space holders. You have to do space holders with synthetic. And x squared is -10, x is -2, and then you have a 4. First number, you just bring it down. Then you multiply. Then you add the column. Then you repeat. Multiply, add, multiply, add, multiply, add. So you've done all the multiplication addition. So now we started with x to the 4th and we divided by x. So this should be x cubed. So this is x cubed minus 3x squared minus 1x plus 1 plus 1 over x plus 3. This is where students can mess up. Your last number is your remainder. If it's not 0, you need to put it over what you were dividing by. So we were dividing by x plus 3, so that's our remainder. Let's try letter B now. Set this equal to 0. -1 is going in the box. So then we got a 1, 3, -64, -64. There are no space holders because you went cube, squared first, no x's. Bring down your first number. 1 times -1, -1. Add the column, you get 2. Multiply. You get what? -2. Add the column, -66. Multiply. Get 66. Add the column, you get 2. You just always make sure 1, multiply, boom, multiply, yep. So we started with x cubed, we divided by x, so this is x squared plus 2x minus 66 plus 2 over, what are you dividing by? X plus 1. So that's using synthetic division. Many students like synthetic division because there's no x's until you start with x's, you end with x's, but there's no x's in the middle. So that's your choice if you're given a choice. Next is the remainder theorem. And we're going to evaluate a function. The old way of doing it, and you can still do this, you take -2 and you plug it in and you evaluate it. But another way to evaluate this is you take what x equals, you put it in the box, and then you perform synthetic division. We're going to pull down our 3, we multiply, get -6, put those together, you get 2, multiply, get -4, add those, 1, -2, and 9. The remainder theorem is the answer. The answer is remainder, so -9. If you were to do it the old way, take 3 times -2 squared. You're taking -2 and you're plugging it in. I'm sorry, that's a cube, not a square. this should equal all negative 9. So this is 3 times negative 8. Oh, a little haywire on me there. Plus 8 times 4. This is going to be a minus 10. Minus 7. We should again equal negative 9. So what's that? Negative 24 plus 32 minus 10 minus 7 equals negative 9. So if I add these two together, that's positive 8, negative 2, negative 9. So this is just saying the remainder theorem. If you were having to divide, you could do it this way or you could do it this way. Some students prefer to do it this way because there's no powers. You just do synthetic division. And last but not least is the factor theorem. So show that these two are factors of the following polynomial. So if you recall, when you have x to the fourth, it means you have 4 zeros. So we're going to prove that 2 and negative 3 are zeros. These are factors. These are zeros. Okay, so let's put 2 in the box. Right, x minus 2 is the factor, but 2 is the zero. So we've got a 2, 7, negative 4, negative 27, negative 18. So we can do synthetic division. You could do long division if you choose, but I think synthetic's faster. So we bring down our 2 and we multiply. Add. Multiply. Add. Multiply. Alright, 2 times 18 is 36. Add is 9. Multiply. Add, and you got a remainder of 0. That means that this is a factor of that. 2 is a 0. Now what you do, take your other 0, which is negative 3, put it in the box. Take your answer that you got. You can drop the 0, you don't need that. So this is x cubed, x squared, x, and constant. And do synthetic division again. You're hoping that you get another 0 as a remainder down here. So bring down the number, multiply, add, multiply, add, multiply, add. Yep. This is a factor. Now what do you have left? Because this does prove it, but you're left with 2x squared plus 5x plus 3. There are 2 more zeros. There we go. 2 more zeros. We can try to find them by solving this by either using quadratic formula or factoring or some other tool. So let's see if it factors. So we set up our parentheses to factor. This is going to be 2x and x. It's got to be 3 here and 1 here if it's going to work. Signs are the same, they're both positive. This is the only way it's going to factor if it works. So 2x is 2x squared. This is 3x. This is 2x. That is what it factors into. So your other 2 zeros, these are the other 2 factors. The other 2 zeros are x equals negative 3 halves and x equals negative 1. If you have any questions, let me know.